Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to talk with you about present awareness. When I say present awareness, what I mean is being in the moment, seeing the moment for what it is, and not clouding it with thoughts either about what it means, thoughts trying to understand it in depth, thoughts about the past, or thoughts about the future. So while you listen to this, I want you to try and simply feel what I'm saying. Try not to think about it. Try not to go into any effort to understand it. And try not to let yourself wander off in thought. If you find yourself doing so though, don't worry about it. Just let it happen and then focus on feeling what I'm saying. So this might sound strange at first to some of you, because not everyone's used to trying to feel what someone's saying. When someone tells us to listen, rather than listening, we tend to strain our ears as if that's somehow going to make us hear better. But when I say to listen, I mean to listen with yourself, just to feel what I'm saying. So if you do that now, if you focus on just feeling what I'm saying, you'll notice something. Perhaps it works and you're just listening without thought, but often you'll notice that your thoughts start to come anyway. Even though you're not trying to think, you're still thinking. So why is that? That's because the mind is comprised of two parts. The part that is always there, the part that is the self beneath this all, and the part that is the thinking, active mind on top of it. And that thinking, active mind, that's not you. That's what you've become associated with over the years, but that isn't you. So I want you to feel that. Don't think about it, just feel that. That those thoughts that are coming over what you're feeling right now, they're not you. They're a reflection of your true self, but not you in its entirety. So while you feel that, you'll notice that the thoughts might still be coming. And this is proof of what I've just told you. Those thoughts are coming without you consciously directing them. Those thoughts are a reaction to your feelings rather than the feelings themselves. And when we start to think about things, we are dealing only in reflection. In other words, the more we think about things, the more obfuscated the actual truth becomes. Because we start doing this little dance, this little mind game, where we jump around and make all these conclusions, rather than just looking at something, experiencing it as it is. So how do we become more present? Well, the simple answer is not to engage the thinking mind. What do I mean by engaging the thinking mind? Well, when someone tells us that we think too much, or that we should stop thinking, it's a bit like when someone tells us not to think of a pink elephant. What's the first thing that happens when someone says that? Obviously, a pink elephant appears in your imagination and you start thinking about one. Why is that? Well, when someone says to stop thinking, the person starts to think about how they stop thinking. They start to use the thoughts themselves and actually think about the act of not thinking. To not think is actually just to do nothing. In other words, if you don't want to think of the pink elephant, you simply accept the thought as it arises and don't interact with it. The pink elephant appears in your mind and you say okay, and you leave it at that, and it disappears on its own. You don't need to do anything to make it disappear, and you don't need to worry that it appeared in the first place. See, this is one of the great traps of the thinking mind. When we try not to think, we get worried when we start to think, and we start thinking about the fact that we started to think, and we trail off on that thought train for ages. When, in actual fact, all you have to do when you notice yourself thinking is just accept the thoughts and then move on. Bring yourself back to feeling. Center yourself and become present. Now this is easier said than done for some people, because they do this and then they automatically start hearing those thoughts again. They start thinking again. And at that point they think, well, I'm never going to master this. My thoughts just keep coming back. They keep coming back. Every time I try to stop them, they keep coming back. Well, that's the nature of meditation. That's the nature of becoming present. The thoughts will come back. All your job is to bring yourself back to center every time that happens. Now at first, this might be a continuous process. You might have to focus on what you're feeling again and again and again. But as you practice being present, you'll find this easier and easier as time goes on. And when you become present, you are really yourself in true unadulterated form, because you're no longer clouded by the reflections of what you are or what you feel, but actually get to witness them in their raw, natural state. Have you ever wondered why beginners have beginner's luck? The simple answer is that they are not thinking yet about what it is that they're doing. If you hand someone a dart and tell them to aim for the dartboard for the first time, they're likely to do quite well, and perhaps even get the bullseye. And that's simply because the person hasn't considered their technique, how they're supposed to do it. They aren't thinking, oh, what will people think if I don't do well? They aren't really thinking about the process much at all. They pick up the dart and they give it their best shot. And that's the thing. When you're not thinking, you give things your best shot, because it's the only thing you can do. And what really causes us to struggle is when we introduce thought into the equation. Say you've been playing darts for years, and your friend challenges you. You're thinking, well, I have to win, I have to show him I'm the better darts player. Or perhaps you're thinking, oh, I've had a couple of drinks, maybe I'm not going to be too good, and you're worrying. Whatever the case, when you start to think about what you're doing, you start to question yourself, you start to insert doubt into the equation. And when that happens, you're no longer fully equipped to deal with the situation at hand. So, how does this affect the rest of our lives? Well, this affects us in everything we do. Say we're talking to someone, or writing an email. If we write an email after a lot of thought, we'll be sitting there analysing it. We might rewrite parts because we worry they might sound the wrong way. But often, the best way to actually speak to someone is just to become aware of what they've said. To feel what they've said, rather than thinking about it. And to take a moment of pause, to become present, and then to reply. When we do this, we can come up with the best answer possible for the person. We don't strain our mind thinking about the best way to say it, and yet we say it the best way that we can. And the same is true for any process, whether you're making something, writing something, or doing manual labour even. The less you think about the process, and the more you just feel what you're doing, the more you start to naturally flow with the process. And this is much easier than people might think. See? When you think, it seems hard. When you do it, it's easy. And what about the times where you don't know what you should be feeling, where you're perhaps doing nothing, like perhaps you're meditating and you're not focused on anything, you want to become present, you don't want to focus on thought? Well, the simplest answer here is just to become present with your breathing, to become present with your body itself and its natural processes, the beat of your heart, the way your limbs raise and lower slightly with each breath, the way your body tenses and untenses as you go through different feelings, the way your muscles feel, the way your legs rest on the chair. Focus on these things and just feel them. Don't question them, don't think about them, don't try to understand them, just feel them. This is why in meditation we often focus on the breathing, on the natural inhale and exhale motion. When you do this, it's very easy to become present, because you're not clouding your mind with thoughts, your focus is elsewhere, your focus is on your breathing. So to end this video, I just want to suggest that you all take 5 minutes to meditate now. If you have the time, it's worth doing. And if you don't, just remember to stay present in whatever you're doing. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, remember to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a comment letting me know your thoughts about present awareness.